Greetings. Saturday, and it's early. It's 10 o'clock a.m. I figured I'd go live this morning because I haven't, I don't typically do much on weekends, but we'll see how it turns out. And you're going to notice my hair is a little discombobulated. I am trying to grow it out, so we'll see how that pans out. You're going to see me wear a lot of hats in the future. But anyway, I'm going to be talking about why Bitcoin's going to $440,000 this cycle. Probably, very likely. And I'm going to show you something today that's absolutely going to blow your freaking mind. I mean, it's really going to blow your mind. It blew my mind this morning reading it. Because there is a Wall Street trader that basically just decided to get into the crypto space. And back in November of 2024, he made a Bitcoin prediction that not only came true like a little bit, but it came true to basically the penny. And this prediction was a part of a grander prediction that was basically saying that Bitcoin's going to be $440,000 this year. And not only that, but that it's actually a scary situation that we're in. And he was basically saying that if this happens, if my prediction happens, then the overall outcome is quite alarming and quite scary. And what he was referencing is the fourth turning. And I read this book. I read the book, The Fourth Turning. And if you haven't read it, you should really, really read it. And, you know, I know that Alex Mashinsky, you know, of Celsius Network has basically gone down as basically a big crypto villain. But he, when he was still in our good graces, he had talked about the Roman Empire and the falling of all the different empires over time, and how typically every 100 years we get a regime change, an empire change, a transition, if you will, out of the old systems into the new system. And I'm going to show you some stuff today that is, I think it's going to make sense. And I don't know how scary it actually is, but I guess it can play out anyway, depending on who's in charge of what as it's all taking place. So let's go ahead and dive into this because I was reading this morning, and it's a rabbit hole I'm still not done with. I figured I'm going to go live. I'm going to share it. I'm going to tell you guys about it. I'm going to flip your noodles a little bit and give you something to do this weekend. And then maybe we come back together on Monday, and I'll go through your comments and see what else you've discovered and what else you've figured out. So we're going to have some fun with this, but this is a very real thing. So let's go ahead and start diving into it. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you, which plays a role in this, is the S&P 500. And I want you to basically look at this chart from going back to 1995, which is basically right around here. Well, you can't see it on this for some reason, so I will draw it. So 1995 starts basically around here, okay? And if you look at the price action here, it's pretty cyclical to a certain point, and then boom, it takes off. Okay. And, you know, if we were to look at Bitcoin's start to be similar to like the .com market when the internet first kicked off, which is essentially what's happening, right? It's like Bitcoin started it all, but effectively this is all about like this era of disruption, if you will, which is basically what the internet and the websites and all of that stuff, that's what that was pretty much to the telecom industry, right? And so if you look at Bitcoin, and we look at like $440,000. $440,000 would bring us to let's see here. If we bring this down let's roughly 440. And if we want to try and match up the S&P 500, this is basically what $440,000 would look like if our price action basically matched the S&P 500 within a certain time frame. Now, this is not exact. This is not, I'm not saying that this is going to match up identically. I'm just using this as a visual guide for what I'm about to show you. But this is basically what it would look like for us to hit $440,000 Bitcoin roughly by 2026. Now, realistically, what we're expecting is for this to happen, and I don't even know why this changed on me, but this would basically be by the end of 2025. So this would be this year, okay? So now that we have that into perspective, I want to share this. The fourth turning is the theory proposed by Neil Howe and William Strauss that suggests history moves in cycles, each lasting about 80 to 100 years, with each cycle composed of 4 eras or turnings that always arrive in the same order and each last about 20 years. These turnings are a high, an awakening, an unraveling, and a crisis. Okay. Now, the crisis or fourth turning is the most perilous era, marked by civic upheaval and national mobilization as traumatic and transformative as the New Deal, World War II, the Civil War, or the American Revolution. According to Howe and Strauss, the fourth turning began around 2008 and is expected to reach its climax and end by the early 2030s. Now, before I get into this, I want to point out something. Build Back Better. If we look at a lot of the narratives related to the World Economic Forum and everything that they're working on, everything that they've been doing, we can hazard a guess that they're very well aware of the fourth turning and how they want to implement change leading up to that. And some of those changes involve cryptocurrency, right? If we were aware of this fourth turning back in the 80s, per se, many of us or many of you will remember the technology that was associated with what was e-money back then. And this was a technology that was basically Bitcoin, but I forget the algorithm. It was like whatever it was, like 180 or whatever it was. It was half of 256. Numbers off the top of my head when I'm live and talking aren't so great. But basically that technology was kind of released to the public as, I think it was like NSA or somebody released this technology, and then it was discovered later that they had hardware called a Clipper chip that they were able to use to get backdoor access to this chain, right? And then it disappeared and went away for like 10 years or however long it's been, 20 years. And so then all of a sudden Bitcoin comes out with this anonymous, founder. Nobody knows who it is or where it came from. I mean, it's pretty obvious, I think, at this point. But what is the overall reasoning behind it, right? Because if we look at the World Economic Forum and we look at a lot of these groups that are basically ushering in a lot of this stuff, like right now, of course, we have a pro-crypto administration, right? But as I was saying, and I used to tell anyone on the left back when they were like, cheering on all the craziness that was happening, right? Because they hate this person so much. They're like, nobody could do anything wrong as long as it's to this person. And I would always say, listen, you guys need to check yourselves because the pendulum always swings back and forth. And whatever you allow today could be the exact thing that you're opposing tomorrow when it's directed at you. People don't listen because people are stupid. The majority of people are just stupid. I'm sorry, but it's true. Nobody has foresight. Nobody thinks. They just kind of read something and they act on it and they're all, people are retarded. I'm sorry. It's how it is. And nobody really thinks anything through anymore. Everything is bing, bing, bing. Instant gratification, instant this, instant that. Everybody wants everything now. And it's putting everybody in this state of anxiety, which a part of this anxiety is also a part of this crisis. Now, let's go ahead and dive into this because this is so insane. You're gonna flip. And there's a point that I brought up all of these things. Now, this is Peter Duan, who he just did this. He just posted this as kind of a summary to everything. So I'm going to read from the summary because it's a lot easier than going through everything else. But exactly 129 days of Bitcoin prophecy was born. On November 5th, 2024, Josh Mandell, a legendary Wall Street trader, called his shot when Bitcoin was trading at just $74,000. Here's a breakdown of the prophecy and what it means for Bitcoin's price action this cycle. And this is, I assume this is Josh. I've messaged Josh. I'd love to have him on to expand on all of this and tell his story, because he's got some things that he's still wanting to talk about. And I'm like, let's go, man. Bring it. Like, whatever it is, just spill the beans at this point. But let's go ahead. So who is Josh Mandell? Josh is a retired Wall Street trader with some of the most impressive credentials. Per his Twitter bio, he has worked at Salomon Brothers during its heyday of 1990 to 1998. Remember Liar's Poker? Now, this date, 1990 to 98, basically says that this was around the time when he was really diving in and paying attention to the markets, the charts, the cycles, the patterns, right? Most recently, he was a trader at Caxton Associates, a $12 billion assets under management hedge fund with headquarters in New York, Singapore, Monaco, and Dubai. Why should you trust his Bitcoin judgment? As the saying goes, don't trust, verify. That said, Josh Mann has been trading Bitcoin MSTR in public for the last year. You can see all of his trades in his history. He originally seeded this portfolio with $2.1 million approximately 1 year ago. As of March 7th, 2025, it has ballooned to $22 million. And this is all real. This isn't like a make-believe story. I just want to make sure you guys understand. This is all a real situation. This is a real person who's doing real stuff, okay? Which is what makes this so mind-blowing, and it only gets more interesting from here. But in basically a year, he made $20 million trading a $2 million book, okay? A lot of calls, some puts, but ultimately, I mean, you can see his trade activity here, and it's pretty nuts, okay? So the guy obviously knows what he's doing. The prophecy. Below is a screenshot of the original post of the prophecy. Take a second to enjoy the poetry and become a witness to Bitcoin history. Now, this is true, and this is basically what he said. I hope that I have established a little credibility with a few of you. And keep in mind, this Josh, it's about to blow up. This guy's going to break six figures probably by the end of the day. But in fact, he as of right now, he has like 53,000 followers on Twitter, okay, or on X, okay? I hope that I have established a little credibility with a few of you so that this will help. This time is different. The fourth turning is upon us. Thursday, 11/7. 116.25, 314.25. When 84 becomes the base, Bitcoin calls will melt their face. This is how you get ahead. Buy IBIT calls in size instead. 10 to 1, you'll ride it up. The stock, it soars into the skies. Then sell the call and exercise. See the path of Pistol Pete? Try a slug and then repeat. Look every day at close and lows. When 84 is on the dot, the car will launch a real whole shot. Feel the G's, hear the roar. The coin won't stop. 360 more. A trio of fours times a grand. That's the top. The BTC fades. This is how a cowboy trades. A nation state down by the sea. I think I'd call it empathy. No room for hate nor jealousy. Essentials, they would be on me. Work if you want, but just for fun. Think in the shade, play in the sun. Now, this shit blows my mind, folks, in like crazy ways. Almost gives me the heebs. You can see people are still reacting to this. Decoding the dates mentioned: 11/7, 1/16/25, 3/14/25. These could be specific points in time where the poster anticipates big moves or turning points in Bitcoin's price cycle. Let's see how he did. 11/7/24. This was Bitcoin at 74,000, and is just beginning to break out. 1/16/25. Bitcoin was $103,000, which marked the temporary local top. 3/14/24. This was yesterday, folks. The $84,000 base that he mentioned is the beginning of what he calls the fourth turning. Here is today's market close: $84,063. Okay, we're not done. We're not done. So, this man basically, back in November of last year, when the price was 74 grand, with everything that's happened between then and now, managed to, and the thing of it is market close. This is all relative to an extent as well, based off of where you are in the world. And I can't remember, but there were people quoting and showing screenshots of this at 84000. So it's obvious that this man not only hit a prediction basically to the fucking penny, okay, from last year, but his additional prediction, I believe, is very likely. When 84,000 becomes the base, what happens next? 360 more, a trio of fours times $1,000. That's $444,000 this man is predicting. This is likely referencing a move from 84,000 to around 444,000. The poem suggests that 444 is his ultimate top forecast for Bitcoin this cycle. This is obviously not financial advice. Now, but what he's basically saying, what he's predicting is that from here, we should only be going up. And that, some people, I think in other comments, he was making a mention of basically like a 10x trade. I forget some of the terminology. There was another post. Let me see if I can pull that up, because there was something else that was basically decoding his poem. And I was reading even more into this, and it is a rabbit hole that is just blowing my mind. I mean, it really is blowing my mind. I don't know who Josh is, but I'd love to talk to him. I sent him a message because it sounds like he has more that he wants to explain, more that he wants to talk about, and I'm all freaking ears, man, because I read The Fourth Turning, was it in 2022, I think, and to be honest, reading that book had me a little freaked out. I mean, it had me buying like food and like basically stocking up on all kinds of stuff. And so I really, there's more that I want to cover here. But there is a Grok, because I guess he says use Grok to decode this. Well, let's go ahead and dive into it. Why not? Because it's very interesting. So the poem in Josh Mandell's post is a cryptic rhyming piece that appears to blend financial predictions, particularly about Bitcoin, with cultural and historical references like the fourth turning. Below is a line-by-line analysis. So it basically starts getting juicy around here. So the interpretation this time is different. The fourth turning is upon us. And this is referencing The Fourth Turning by Strauss and Howe, which predicts a major societal crisis or transformation every 80 years. The dates, November 7th, 2024, January 16th, 2025, and March 14th, 2025, are significant. with March 14th being the current date, which was yesterday. This suggests these dates mark key moments in the predicted crisis or a financial event tied to Bitcoin, as the poem later focuses on cryptocurrency. Basically, what a lot of this is boiling down to is that Josh was saying, we're going to call him Joshtradamus, but basically what he was saying is that he was making these predictions based off of a cycle that almost acts as a loop. Okay. And so, you know, and there are a lot of jokes about how like we're in the Matrix and this and that and another thing. And this was all before the prediction hit, but it was leading up to the point where it was about to hit. And he was basically, you know, a lot of people were saying, you know, you're a prophet, you're a time traveler, you're this, you're that. And he's like, I'm none of that. He's very humble about it. He's not like, you know, a lot of the degen YouTubers would be, where they're all like, you know, I predicted a double market top. I compared this to the NASDAQ in 2006. Like, what douchebag does that sort of thing? But you know, he's very humble about it, and he's very much like, you know, listen, this is a pattern that I've recognized, and it's lining up with a lot of other things, and that this prediction actually hits. This doesn't mean good things for us, because what it's effectively saying is we are in the fourth turning, which is the crisis stage of an entire cycle, because we're transitioning out of the old ways and into the new ways. But here's the one thing that I understand, that we're very likely in a major transitional period. And Trump is obviously playing a significant role in this, because he's basically brought us to a point where we're getting all of this government involvement. They're trying to get regulatory clarity, and we've got all these institutions and different investment vehicles. I know MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor just launched a new investment vehicle, and there's so much stuff happening, right? We're starting to really embrace the technology. And the thing is that we're also in a different age, right? Now, my question is like, at what point of civilization are we? Like, as human beings, you know, where are we as a civilized society as it relates to potentially where, you know, maybe the people of Atlantis were, right? Like, how many civilizations, or how many times has the world map been wiped like an Etch-a-Sketch and started from a new beginning? And how far did they get? How far did previous civilizations get in their reign? Okay? Because I'm looking at where we are now, and I'm thinking, okay, listen, maybe we do something like this every 100 years. And, you know, we have the rise and fall of all of these different regimes or groups or ways of life, etc. But we're also talking about an age of technology now where we're not struggling. We are wealthier as a globe than I think ever in history. We have information at our fingertips. We have pretty much everything we want at our fingertips. You want a sandwich? There'll be a car out front in like 15 minutes dropping off your burger. Like, nobody's really hurting. Like, there are a lot of people hurting, don't get me wrong. There are homeless people. There are a lot of issues, right? I'm saying in the overall grand scale of things, though, as a general society, we are much, much better off in this 100 years than we were the last 100 years, if you get what I'm trying to say. And so I have to wonder if maybe these fourth turnings that are happening from, you know, empire to empire to empire, maybe they aren't as traumatic or damaging in ways that we would expect them to be, if that makes sense. And so that's my question. That's basically where I'm at with this. Like, yeah, okay, let's say we are in a fourth turning. The signs are obviously happening all over the place. We're leaving one era and entering a new era where technology is about to change. Transhumanism is definitely going to be a thing. Like, it already is a thing. This is happening before our eyes. We're seeing populations literally divided. You know, you've got, you know, these ideals, and everybody's constantly clashing, basically as we're being led around like little kittens with a little laser pointer by the media. Go be mad at this, go be mad at that, go do this, go do that. You know, I mean, literally half this country is being controlled by the media. The other half is being controlled by the media to a certain extent, but more so that like the media just happens to agree with what a lot of these people believe, while the the other half is just being dictated to. Like, this is what you should feel, this is what you should think, and the way everything is written, the gaslighting, the lies, everything. And they don't care. Like, people are so indoctrinated into this methodology of gaining and reading and consuming information. They don't really care anymore, like, what's fact or not. Like it's not even clicking with these folks. And it's creating such a significant divide in the way we live and the way we function as a society overall. And that's probably going to change very dramatically. And I think for some people, it's not going to be as difficult a transition. For the other side, it's probably going to be traumatic. And that's where I'm thinking. Now, does that create a clash, almost like, when cold air and hot air meets? Does it create this tornado of chaos? Maybe it does. We're seeing evidence of some of that happening right now. And I think that's effectively what Josh Mandell is saying, is that, listen, if this is true, then this is confirmation that, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull up Josh's account. I want everybody to follow and see Josh. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Hold on. I hate when people use screenshots like that instead of links, because it's like intentionally keeping you on their page when really he should be crediting this gentleman directly. I always try to link to people directly, but using screenshots like that's kind of shitty to me. So I'm going to unfollow that. I feel like hold on. I'm going to pull up a different link. There we go. All right. You know what? I'm going to show this also while we're here. I'm going to try and make sure that this is less than 30 minutes. So this is Josh Mann. It's Josh Mandell 6. So follow this guy if you want to stay on top of this story as it unfolds, because this just broke yesterday. This guy's prediction from November cracked yesterday to the T. Everybody's like, holy cow, is this real? Did this really happen? And then you've got this like humble guy, like he looks like my grandfather's younger brother when I was a kid, that like in New Philadelphia. You know what I mean? Like he looks like an old schooler. And I don't even know if this is a real photo. I don't know. But I assume that everything about this guy is legit. But anyway, so this was posted. When was this posted? It doesn't. Okay. This was yesterday at 11:26 a.m. This is before market close. Okay, so here goes. I have been somewhat vague and have attempted to make these latest predictions seem like they could be explained by some system or knowledge of markets. This is not true. The truth is that I have a very specific prediction based on memories of something that happened 30 years ago, combined with thoughts which seem ever present in my mind. If Bitcoin were to close at $84,000 on March 14th, it will run the table. I'm not certain what that means. I have a couple of thoughts, but there's no point unless somehow it actually closes at $84,000 today. The truth is that I'm becoming convinced that it may well do just that. And that the impossible odds of such a thing occurring means that I will have some explaining to do, because the odds of his prediction actually happening was like a 0.00. It was like 1,000,000 to 1. Okay. If this occurs, I will likely take the rest of the month off and reach out to family members to let them know what I am planning to reveal. Believe me, I hope I'm wrong about this, because some people are definitely going to view me as mentally ill if they are non-believers, or heretical if they are people of faith. I mean, these are crazy words from somebody who hit a prediction that's like 1,000,000 to 1 prediction so succinctly on X. And, this is just a matter of hours ago. So I'm going to leave this here. I just wanted to give you guys something to chew on. There's more to this, but I want you guys to do some digging yourselves and find it. Because, he's above his failure. It has to close there for the run the table event. So, but it hit. I mean, it hit. So, and you also have to keep in mind that, time of close is on a 24-hour market is going to be dependent on the time, like where you are in the world when that happens. So it definitely hit somewhere, but I know at one point there were people in certain parts saying at this time of close where I'm at, it was exactly $84,000. And it's all in the comments here. Like you're going to find you can see people legend. That was 23 hours ago. Oh, you can't. 23 hours ago, this guy says legend, and he's like, I am not a legend. I mean, the guy, he's just very humble about pulling off one of the most, this guy is, people give that Da Vinci guy, Da Vinci 15, they're like, oh, look at him, he's such a prophet. He knew, the guy was a nerd back in the day. He bought some fucking Bitcoin, probably because he was playing EverQuest, and, people were basically buying like swords and shit on EverQuest using Bitcoin. That's what I thought it was. Guy probably accumulated and then basically, looks like some grand poobah of the Moose Lounge because all of a sudden Bitcoin's worth a lot more money now due to its limited supply. And he was telling people buy Bitcoin back when it was like nothing. So kudos, but this is what a real profit looks like, folks. This is what it really looks like to pull off something that like such a tiny, like nobody else could, that basically. So listen, folks, it's Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Hopefully this plants a seed in you. Are we going to hit $440,000 this year? I believe it's absolutely possible. I definitely think there's some correlations between this, what he's predicting, the fourth turning, and what the potential outcome is. So I might play with some numbers myself. Let me know in the comments below what you've come up with. What is ChatGPT or Grok 3? What are they telling you? What's the correlation? What's the proposed outcome to all of this? What does the world look like if Bitcoin were in fact to hit $440,000 this year? That's the real question. What is it about that has Josh so concerned that he feels like he needs to warn family? Thanks for joining me, folks. Enjoy your Saturday. Crow your coins, and I'll see you soon.